Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and you may have seen this thing sitting on the back of my tool chest here, wondering what it is, when I'd get around to it. Well, this is a long, I guess extra long, 35-degree hose clamp plier. It's got the double pivot point so you can reach around things, as you can see the actual shape of it there. However, I'm going to call this a race to the bottom. I first saw something like this. I think Lyle was selling it. I don't know who was making it. But then when I started looking around, I could see them in the $60 price range, and then the $30 price range, and then the $20 price range, and then I saw them go as low. I think I found a $13 one. But there were some subtle differences. It looked like the $30 and on up ones were the same when you look at, the pivots or the machining or the bending of the metal. And they actually had pivots on the jaws. These are just welded right on, and therefore they don't bend, allowing them to keep a constant angle. The other thing, they all seem to have some sort of a spring mechanism with a release lever. This one being essentially one of the cheapest I could find. I didn't have high hopes for it, and I broke it almost immediately on the first use. And the reason I broke it, I mean, not deliberately, but what happened was, well, here's some different kinds of hose clamps, and I thought, this actually is a pretty solid design to reach down around something and be able to, kind of squish the hose clamp enough to get it to slide, but then also have enough texture here. As you can see, there's plenty of grip there to be able to move it, to slide it, or to position it. And then down here, there is this lever that basically has these little detents that should hold it in place like that, which it is. These are pretty, well, first of all, this is pretty much pot metal, but then it's just barely held in there, so I don't know how much I'd hang on, or I'd trust it. Anyway, however, a lot of hose clamps are a little bit bigger, like this one, and this did not grab the larger ones. In fact, it didn't grab much beyond this. This pretty much stressed it. So it was about like this at its greatest opening before I broke it. And I wanted to try it on a radiator that had a hose clamp like this, and it wouldn't reach. It couldn't grab it, which is pretty much why I wanted something like this. So I thought, well, can I open it up any more? And it was kind of locking up, and then suddenly, kapow, it sprung all the way open, and a little piece of metal right here off of this went shooting out that used to have a little hook right there. So this spring just snapped right off. But that would allow it to grab a realistic sized hose clamp. I can still use it, but I have to do it manually. I have to grab a hold of it and then kind of wedge this thing. I have to squeeze it far enough down and then wedge in my little attachment down here. Get that spring out of the way to see if I can lock in a way to grip it. So anyway, it's not really, there we go. It's not really working all that great. I imagine the better ones hold up and might open up bigger, or if they don't, and you've got pivots up at this end that allow these to swing back and forth, that would increase the initial angle of attack onto the hose clamp. But I was curious about it. I always like playing around with kind of innovative tools. Generally, you have to reach down quite a ways when you're dealing with hose clamps or around stuff. Sometimes you're doing it while the engine's hot, and therefore, it's really not fun to be trying to touch, or try not to touch the engine as you reach your hand down into it. But anyway, there it is. I'll put a link to this one. I think last time I checked, it was up around $19. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm not giving a brand name because I have no idea what the actual brand name of this thing really is. But these are out there. And if you had a good one, like a Lyle, I'll put a link to a Lyle one as well. But you can also dig around if you study the pictures and find probably the same thing for less. But anyway, these extra long angled hose clamp pliers, I think they're onto something, but this one needs obviously more work. So don't race to the bottom when you're looking for a tool like this. There are differences, even if those differences seem subtle. And with that, Doc out.